Today's lesson is called A Peek into Bhutan. Hi everyone, my name is Jeff.
My name is Roger, and today we're going to continue talking about our trip to Bhutan, a Himalayan country in the Himalaya Mountains. It's right there next to Nepal and Tibet and India. It's probably fairly easy to get to by plane, but it might be more difficult to get there in terms of getting permission. Of course, it's a nice, wonderful, clean, happy country, and they know this, and they don't want to be spoiled by too many tourists coming in and ruining their country, so they limit visitors, as we're going to find out today.
There you go. Bhutan is an amazing place, and the Bhutanese want to keep it that way, okay? They have a way of life, and they want to preserve that. They don't want a bunch of tourists coming in and wrecking the place. But yes, Bhutan, it's a beautiful place. One of the most beautiful places on Earth. It also has some of the happiest people on Earth. What a cool, cool place. I think one day I'm going to try to visit, but you know what? If I get rejected, if they don't let me in, I'm going to say, hey, that's all right. I understand. No problemo. Anyways, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a short break, but don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
Bhutan has many other features that make it stand out. First, it has been dubbed the happiest country in Asia and one of the happiest countries in the world. Happiness is a value that the country has worked hard to promote. While other nations use gross domestic product, GDP, as a measure of progress, Bhutan has adopted gross national happiness, GNH, to measure its own development. Indeed, for the Bhutanese, happiness is more important than material wealth, and it's also closely tied to protecting Bhutan's natural environment and cultural identity. This approach seems to be working. Bhutan has been rapidly developing its economy while remaining carbon negative.
大家好，第一部分我们看到片语 stand out 表示出色、出众、突出显眼。例如 This restaurant stands out from the others on the street because its food is so good. 这条街上的这间餐厅比其他间出色，因为它的食物很棒。或是Most of the people at the party were wearing black, so the woman in red really stood out. 派对上大部分的人都穿着黑色衣服，因此那位身着红衣的女士就显得很突出。另外补充一个相关片语 stand out as 加名词，表示以身份特色脱颖而出。像是 Jeremy stands out as the most hardworking employee in his company. Jeremy 以他公司最努力的员工而受到瞩目。接着我们看到动词 dub 指称为给取绰号，常用被动 be dubbed 加名词来表示。例如 Michael Jackson was dubbed the king of pop by music critics. Michael Jackson 被乐评封为流行乐之王。或是Since Carl kept getting ahead in the company, his colleagues dubbed him Mr. Promotion. 因为 Carl 在公司一直往上爬，同事给他取了一个升职先生的绰号。另外，这个字除了上面的意思，还可以指为影视节目配音。举例来说 I don't like to watch a foreign drama dubbed into Chinese. 我不喜欢看中文配音过的国外影集。
Okay, let's now talk about the first part of today's lesson. We begin by saying Bhutan has many other features that make it stand out. So here, features, characteristics, things that make it special. And those are things that make it stand out. They're unique. They're different. Other countries in the world don't have these things.
Yeah, many things about Bhutan stand out. Now, first, it has been dubbed the happiest country in Asia and one of the happiest countries in the world. Yes, in Bhutan, they take happiness very, very seriously. It's very important to the Bhutanese. way of life. By the way, in this sentence, we have this word dub, okay? If you dub something, you give that thing a nickname or a name of some kind.
Right, indeed. So, yes, Bhutan has been called or dubbed the happiest country in Asia. So, let's continue to talk about this here. It says, happiness is a value that the country has worked hard to promote. Yes, they know that they're happy, and the state of being happy is called happiness. Happiness. So that's a value that they value. It's something that they consider valuable. And so they've worked hard to promote this concept of happiness. Hey, we're happy, so we want to let the rest of the world know it, to maybe attract them to come here and spend their tourist dollars here, but also maybe to spread that joy. Maybe other people aren't so happy like we are. Let's share the happiness.
There you go. Now let's move on. The next sentence says, while other countries use gross domestic product, or GDP, as a measure of progress, Bhutan has adopted gross national happiness, or GNH, to measure its own development. Yeah, very often people do have measures, economic measures, that tell you how a country's performing economically, so on and so forth, like the GDP, the gross domestic product. Well, in Bhutan, they do have a GDP, and it's quite high, actually. In Bhutan, they have this, but they also have the gross national happiness. So maybe leaders in Bhutan consult this particular measure, and they figure out, using this measure, how happy people are, and thus how successful they're governing the country and how well Bhutan is doing. Yeah, they don't really care about economic measures, but when it comes to happiness, they take it quite seriously. Now, before we move on, let's go ahead and talk about this word gross. If something is gross, it's disgusting. Right there, Roger?
Yeah, when I was in grade school, of course, I used to tell disgusting jokes to all the girls, and they would say, oh, get out of here, Roger. You're gross. You're disgusting. We don't want to talk to you. But yes, that's what it means in one context, disgusting, awful, gross. But in this particular case, it means overall, the overall domestic product before things are taken out, before taxes are reduced or taken away, etc. So like you could talk about your gross income, how much money you make before you have to pay taxes.
Anyways, moving on. Indeed, the next sentence says, indeed, for the Bhutanese, happiness is more important than material wealth, and it's also closely tied to protecting Bhutan's natural environment and cultural identity.
Indeed. So I guess they believe that happiness and being rich are two different things. You can be happy with or without material wealth, but they stress the happiness. It's more important to them, and it is tied to protecting Bhutan's natural environment and cultural identity. So we've got this phrase, to be tied to something. That means they are related to each other.
They're connected. There you go. Now, this approach seems to be working. Okay, some people might think, what are you talking about? You're measuring happiness? No one does that. All the big economies in the world, all the big nations, they care about the money. The money is the most important thing when you're measuring economic development and stuff like that. Well, Bhutan's got its own way of doing things, but yes, it looks like it's working. Their approach seems to be working. Bhutan has been rapidly developing its economy while remaining carbon negative. So there you go. They're happy, and yes, their economy is bustling. It's growing. Things are going well for the Bhutanese economically, and also because they care about the environment and all, they've been able to kind of grow their economy without hurting the environment. Yes, they've remained carbon negative. So when it comes to carbon emissions, Bhutan is doing a fantastic job of staying carbon negative. Not carbon neutral, carbon negative. Apparently, they're removing carbon from the atmosphere, which is the exact opposite of what everyone else is doing on planet Earth. Anyways, before we move on, let's talk about the noun economy. When we're talking about the economy, we're talking about the business environment of some place.
Yes, lots of people, of course, feel the economy is doing well under the leadership of the president. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Let's move on now to the second part and listen first.
To protect its culture and natural environment, Bhutan used to limit its number of visitors. Today, in an effort to accomplish the same goal, the country continues to require visitors to pay a hefty daily tourism fee and, with the exception of visitors from certain countries, book their trips through government-approved tour operators.
二部分我们看到单字 accomplish， 这个字是动词，指达到、完成，像是 Sarah has finally accomplished her goal of running a marathon. Sarah 终于达成跑马拉松的目标。或是 If we accomplish our goal by the end of the month, our boss will be very happy with us. 若我们月底前完成我们的目标，老板会对我们很满意。另外，在这个字的字尾加上 ment， 就成了名词 accomplishment， 可数时指成就、成绩，不可数时则指完成、实现。例如Finishing the long race was a big accomplishment for the new runner. 完成这趟长程赛跑对这名赛跑新手来说是项了不起的成就。或是 The doctor was given an award for his research accomplishments. 这名医生凭着出色的研究成绩而获奖。再举一个例子 When Glenn finished repairing his car on his own, he was very happy with his accomplishment. 当 Glenn 自己修好车时，他为自己所完成的感到非常满意。再来，我们看到形容词 hefty， 指巨额的、可观的。例如 People who violate the law will have to pay a hefty fine. 违反这条法律的人得付出巨额罚款。或是 The man received a hefty fine for speeding. 那个人因为超速而必须缴一笔可观的罚金。另外，这个字除了上面的意思，还可以指重的、粗壮的。我们可以说Karen's uncle is a hefty man. Karen 的叔叔是位粗壮的男子。
Okay, so before the break, we learned the Bhutanese take happiness seriously, okay? Not only do they think being happy is important, but this idea of happiness, it's connected to other things as well, okay? They're happy, and they also want their surroundings to remain happy. They want to protect their environment. They know if they wreck their environment, they're not going to be happy, so they take very good care of their environment. Yeah, to protect its culture and natural environment, Bhutan used to limit its number of visitors, so not everyone could go there all the time. The Bhutanese were trying to protect Bhutan.
Yeah, some people are trying to do that nowadays, like Amsterdam and Venice. I think they're trying to limit the number of visitors because they do cause damage. But in the past, Bhutan was doing that. They wanted to protect their culture and their natural environment. Keep those tourists out. They're nothing but trouble. And in an effort to accomplish the same goal, the country continues to require visitors to pay a hefty daily tourism fee. And with the exception of visitors from certain countries, book their trips through government-approved tour operators. So forget about backpacking in Bhutan. You're probably going to have to go with a tour group. So indeed, that's what they're trying to do here in an effort to accomplish this same goal, to protect their culture and natural environment. So in an effort to, in order to, you could also say. So in order for them to accomplish this goal or to meet that goal, they are doing basically the same thing here. They are requiring visitors to pay a hefty daily tourism fee. It's not just a little bit of money, but it's hefty. It's big. It's a lot. Not for people here in Taiwan, of course. You got more money than you know what to do with. You could certainly afford that. But for some people, it might be, ooh, that's kind of expensive. I think I'll go someplace else.
Now, it also says here that there's an exception, okay? If there's an exception in some situation, something has been excluded.
Right, exception, okay? You could apply that to languages as well. Of course, in English verb conjugation, there are verbs that follow the rules, but then there are some that are exceptions. They just say it differently. They don't follow the rule. Exception. And also, you need to book your trips through government-approved tour operators. So, yes, if you're a tour operator, of course, you make all the arrangements for the tourists. You find them places to stay. You make sure they get things to eat. You arrange their itinerary or where they're going to go on their tour. That's what a tour operator does. And that's similar to a tour group where you all take the same bus and you all eat together and stuff like that. I think that's basically what this is all about.
There you go. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't go away. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up our article on Bhutan.
Despite such requirements, tourism is definitely growing in Bhutan. See Table 1. And a large percentage of visitors express a desire to return one day. Chart 1. Hopefully, the country will continue to maintain its policy of quality over quantity and keep mass tourism at bay.
最后第三部分我们看到单字 hopefully 这个字是副词，指但愿，怀着希望的。举例来说 Hopefully, it won't rain during our parade tomorrow. 但愿明天游行时不要下雨。
Okay, let's talk about the third part of our lesson for today. Now, despite such requirements, in other words, requiring some visitors to pay a hefty fee or making them book their trips through government-approved tour operators, despite these requirements, tourism is definitely growing in Bhutan. Okay, so people know about those fees, they're willing to pay them, and they're willing to travel through tour operators. They don't mind, it's still worth going there. And a large percentage of visitors express a desire to return one day. And you can see that in our chart here and our table. We've got some figures here for you to check out. If you're talking about a percentage, that just has to do with a number related to the number 100. So if half the people go, that's 50%. That's a percentage.
Like 100%. That represents all of something, 0%, none of it, 50%, half of it. That's the idea. Anyways, let's read the final sentence of today's lesson. It says, hopefully the country will continue to maintain its policy of quality over quantity and keep mass tourism at bay. So here we've got two things to talk about. First of all, at the beginning of the sentence, we have the word hopefully.
Hopefully, right, which means that's what we all hope. That's all what we want. We're not really sure it's going to happen, so you can say this. Well, I've studied really hard for the test. Hopefully, I'll pass it. Hopefully, I'll get every question right. That's what I'm hoping here. So hopefully, the country will continue to maintain that policy of quality over quantity. They'll keep their country nice and clean and not spoiled by tourism. And they can keep mass tourism at bay. So here we've got a phrase, to keep something at bay, which means to limit its influence or limit its effect. For example, you might take vitamins every day to keep colds at bay so you don't get sick.
There you go. You don't want to be overwhelmed by something, let's say. You want to control that thing, limit that thing, okay? You want to keep that thing at bay. You want to prevent something bad, usually, from occurring. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to say bye-bye, but don't worry, don't fret. The Chinese teacher is waiting in the wings.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分用到2次 while 都是当连接词，那我们就来整理一下 while 当连接词的不同用法哦。第一种呢是表达而，然而，它是用来连接2个对比或是不同的陈述，这时候意思就相当于 whereas。例如 Jessie is good at music while her sister is good at sports。 Jessie 擅长音乐，而她妹妹擅长运动，这是2个对比的状况。好，那么第二个用法是表达虽然尽管，意思跟 though 或是 although 一样，像是 while Ethan is short，He's the best player on his team。 虽然 Ethan 个子不高，但他却是他们队上最厉害的球员。好，那么第三个是表达说在什么期间与什么同时，这时候它的意思就相当于 when。 例如 The phone rang while he was taking a shower。 他在洗澡的时候电话响了。那这边要补充一下 while 当这个意思来解释时，如果它连接的2个子句主词一样，我们可以省略 while 后方的主词，再把动词改分词。也就是说 while 引导的那个子句啊，那个副词子句可以简化成 while 加 VING 或是加 PP。 举例来说 They ran into Dana while they were waiting for the bus。 这个句子就可以简化成 They ran into Dana while waiting for the bus。 他们在等公车的时候巧遇 Dana。 好，那我们看到课文第一部分最后一句，他写到说Bhutan has been rapidly developing its economy while remaining carbon negative. 不丹在快速发展经济的同时，也维持负碳成果。有没有看到这边他用到 while remaining？ 这边一样是省略相同主词，再把动词改成现在分词 remaining 所简化的哦。好，我们接着读到课文第二部分的第二句，他说Today, in an effort to accomplish the same goal, the country continues to require visitors to 怎么样。如今啊，为了要达到相同目标，该国继续要求游客怎么样。那我们这边来学习 effort 的相关用法。文中用到 in an effort to 加原形动词，是指说为了什么什么而努力做到某事。它也可以写作in efforts to 加上原形动词。好，那我们来造个例句。In an effort to reduce waste, the company is planning to go paperless. 为了努力减少浪费，那间公司打算要无纸化。好，那么这边还有一些常见用法，像是 make an effort to 加原形动词，表示努力做某事。Make every effort to 加原形动词，表示尽全力做某事。那 make no effort to 加原形动词就很好理解嘛，就是不努力，毫不费心力去做某事。例如 Ryan made every effort to win his ex-girlfriend back. Ryan 尽全力要赢回前女友的心。好，以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Gross. My investments showed a gross profit of 30% last year. Economy.The Maldives' economy is largely dependent on tourism. Accomplish. If we all work together, we will surely accomplish our goal. Exception. It's usually cold in my hometown, but today is an exception. Percentage. Harvard University only admits a small percentage of the students who apply each year. Hopefully. Hopefully, the soccer match won't be postponed due to bad weather.
Discussion Starter starts now!
It's time now for our discussion starter. Here is the question. Would you want to visit Bhutan after reading the article?
Are you kidding? I would really like to see Bhutan because it's super beautiful. There's a lot to do there. It's one of those places that you'll always have a great travel story to tell if you go to Bhutan. Oh man, I want to go. The only problem is I don't think I'll be able to afford it.
Yeah, well, I'm not that interested in visiting Bhutan because it is a Buddhist country and have already been to Thailand, which is a Buddhist country. To me, if you've seen one Buddhist temple, you've seen them all.
Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.